The anterior deltoid is responsible for flexion, abduction, and medial rotation. So we want to reverse engineer those by going into extension of the humerus, maximum external rotation of the humerus, and then with the opposite arm, we're going to bring the arm into adduction by pulling it across. Then hey everyone, thanks for tuning in. Steven here with TV4, and today I'm joined by Michael from One Body, and today we're going to be teaching you how to be your own therapist by demonstrating the top 5 myofascial stretching exercises for shoulder pain, and we don't want to waste your time, so let's get right on to the exercises. The first myofascial stretching exercise for shoulder pain is going to be for the pectoralis major. For the pectoralis major, right now we're going to be focusing on the superficial fibers, and in order to do that, first thing we want to do is spread the legs apart. Next, we're going to go ahead and flex the knees. We then want to dorsiflex the ankles by pointing the toes toward the floor and evert the ankles by pointing the soles away from one another. Next, what we want to do is go into anteversion of the pelvis. The reason we're going into anteversion and separating the knees is because the pectoralis major, the superficial fibers, have an attachment to the rectus abdominis. So when you separate the knees and go into anteversion, you create greater myofascial tension on the rectus abdominis, which transfers into the pectoralis major fibers. Next, we're going to go ahead and move up to the shoulder. At the shoulder, we want to bring the humerus at the level of the glenohumeral angle. If you don't know where that is, you can go ahead and palpate the scapula, bring the humerus out to 90 degrees, and then you're going to elevate the humerus. When you see that the scapula moves with the humerus, that is the glenohumeral angle. That is where you want to be. If you are a patient doing this exercise and you can't find it for yourself, when your arm is fully extended and your palm is roughly at the level of your forehead or slightly higher, that is going to be the area that you want to be at. But from this position right over here, Michael is going to go into maximum extension of the elbow and wrist and maximum external rotation of the shoulder. With his opposite arm, he's going to place his hand flat underneath his armpit, and he's going to use that to push over and roll onto his side. And then with his ear, his chin is tucked in, his crown of the head is pushing out away from his body, his eyes are looking down to put the dura mater under tension, and he's pinning his ear toward the ground. Now, Michael is going to use his opposite arm to push and roll onto his right shoulder, and the entire time, he wants to pin his right shoulder to the ground. So if you are a therapist practicing this with a patient, you can palpate, put your fingers underneath their humerus, and that can act as a biofeedback mechanism so they know that they're applying enough pressure. That is the myofascial stretching exercise for the pectoralis major. Next, the second myofascial stretching exercise for shoulder pain is going to be for the pectoralis minor. For the pectoralis minor, you're going to be in a kneeling position, and then for this one right over here, retroversion of the pelvis. At the shoulder joint, what you want to do is retract the shoulder blade as much as possible, and you want to go into frontalization of the scapula by pushing the shoulder out and away. With the arm is in maximum extension of the elbow and wrist and maximum external rotation of the shoulder, and then you want to extend the humerus beyond the coronal plane by bringing it behind your body. With the opposite arm, because the pectoralis minor has an attachment to ribs 3 to 5, you want to palpate at ribs 3 to 5 and pull down. That way you can lengthen the fascia in that area. And then with regard to the head, you're keeping the chin tucked in. You are doing a contralateral side bend and ipsilateral rotation. Contralateral meaning you're bending away from the side that you're stretching, and ipsilateral rotation meaning you're rotating toward the side that you're stretching. So you're looking away and then you're looking up toward the sky. And then this right over here is the myofascial stretch for the pectoralis minor. Next, the third myofascial stretching exercise is going to be for the anterior deltoid. For the anterior deltoid, once again, you are in a kneeling position. For this one right over here, the anterior deltoid is responsible for flexion, abduction, and medial rotation. So we want to reverse engineer those by going into extension of the humerus, maximum external rotation of the humerus, and then with the opposite arm, we're going to bring the arm into adduction by pulling it across. Then, what we want to do, the chin is tucked in, the crown of the head is pushing up toward the sky, the eyes are looking down at the floor to put the dura mater under tension, and then we're going to maintain this position for 30 seconds, and that is the myofascial stretching exercise for the anterior fibers of the anterior deltoid. Next, the fourth myofascial stretching exercise is going to be for the biceps brachii. For the biceps brachii, we're going to be in a seated position for this exercise. You want to flex your hips and knees, and then you want to extend your arms as much as you can. Because the bicep does flexion of the shoulder, flexion of the elbow, and supination of the wrist, we're reverse engineering that by going into maximum extension of the shoulder, maximum pronation of the forearm, and then what we want to do is, if we want to target the long head of the biceps brachii, we are going to bring the palms together and we're going to bring the legs apart. Then we want to go into a varus force at the elbow. So while maintaining a straight elbow, you want to imagine that you're pushing the elbow out to the side. And this is the myofascial stretching for the long head of the biceps brachii. If we want to target the short head of the biceps brachii, we're going to move the arms outside of shoulder width, and then we're going to bring the feet and knees together. Everything else is exactly the same. Hips and knees are flexed, retroversion of the pelvis, chin is tucked in, crown of the head is up, eyes are looking down at the floor to put the dura mater under tension. You have maximum extension of elbow, maximum pronation of the forearm, and maximum, you want to retract the shoulder blades as much as possible and get a varus force at the elbow. And that is the myofascial stretching exercise for the short head of the biceps brachii. And then lastly, the fifth and final myofascial stretching exercise for shoulder pain is going to be for the superior trapezius. For the superior trapezius, you are in a kneeling position, and then what you want to do is take your arm and you want to go on a downward diagonal. You want to respect the fibers of the upper trapezius. So whatever direction those fibers go in, you want to go in that same direction. So you're going on a downward diagonal by bringing your arm close to your knees. Then you want to place your palm flat on the floor, and you want to elevate your elbow as much as you can. By elevating your elbow, what we're doing is we're fixing the scapular girdle. Then, from this position right over here, Michael is going to take his palm, and he is going to push his palm away from his body as much as he can, and maintain that for 30 seconds. And that is the myofascial stretching exercise for the upper trapezius, and those were the top 5 stretching exercises for shoulder pain. And there you have it. Those were the top 5 myofascial stretching exercises for shoulder pain. If you are somebody who suffers from shoulder pain, or if you are a clinician who treats shoulder pain, give those exercises a try. And if you want to learn a little bit more, come to our seminar on September 18th. We're going to be going over all of these exercises and a whole lot more. If you have any questions at all, go ahead and ask your questions down in the comment section, because we would love to answer any questions that you guys have. But that's pretty much it for today's video. If you guys enjoyed the video, be sure to smash that like button so we know to keep making these types of videos in the future. And if you're either new to the channel or haven't subscribed yet, be sure to subscribe to the channel and hit the notification bell, as we will be uploading new videos every single day. That's it for today's video. Thanks for tuning in, and we will see you again tomorrow.